Hello and welcome to the Work of Thy Hands podcast, where we interview Christian creatives, conversing on the ways they have seen their co-creative projects as co-creative efforts with Christ, times they have drawn inspiration from the physical creation, and their thoughts surrounding the nature of work as a creative. I'm your host, Allison Ramirez, and today I'm thrilled to be welcoming our next guest to the podcast, John Kraemer. John has been building giant churches out of Legos every year for almost 26 years. He has a mild form of cerebral palsy, and he's showing that no matter what challenges or disabilities you face, God can still use your talents. When he is working on his projects, John uses his building time as a time for prayer. Thus, the reason for his Substack called Praying at the Bricks, and why his work is called the Lego Church Project. Welcome, John. Happy to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Well, I'm really happy to have you on, John, because I think you're the first person I've had who isn't a writer, who is doing something other than writing. So tell me how you got into Lego building.
Well, I grew up with it. Lego was something
Mm-hmm.
that my parents introduced me to when I was young, and over the years, life of the church was kind of important to us because we lived in the original parish rectory for St. Helens Parish in Saginaw, which is now known as Christ the Good Shepherd. So, growing up, my friends were building spaceships. I wasn't good at that, but I was good at building rudimentary buildings that eventually turned into churches. What started this off from a child thing into the ministry that it has become is I started doing public displays. First at the Mount Zion Center in Flushing, Michigan, and then later, a couple of years later, I started doing the annual display at my home parish, Christ the Good Shepherd, which I've been doing straight for 22 years this year.
Wow. So it sounds like you've been able to go and display a lot of your Lego projects because that's what I was wondering. If you're building these great creations, where are places that you've gone to showcase them?
I have had the opportunity over many years to visit a lot of amazing parishes. A couple of the ones that stand out is All Saints Parish in Bay City, which is the combined parish of St. James and St. Boniface. I visit every other year almost with them. In fact, I'm going to be coming back out there in June this year. That came together this past week. Another parish is Assumption Parish in Midland, Michigan, which is about 20 minutes from me. I'll be coming there for my fourth year. And I'm always looking for other parishes that might be interested in having me come out to showcase the talents that the Lord has given me, to be able to talk about faith and disability on how they can intersect and how we can be more compassionate and open to those with disabilities in the life of the church.
I love that. What kind of reception do you usually get from your Lego churches? Like, what do people usually say, or their questions they may have?
Oh my gosh, you get the children who look at it. They see that it is big, it is colorful, it is Lego. They're the ones that
Mm-hmm.
look inside. They see the wheelchairs. They see the people that are in there. They see R2D2 hiding somewhere inside. But then you've got the adults. The adults also see that it is big and is colorful, but they seem to be a bit more reflective. They see
Mm-hmm.
themselves sitting inside there. In fact, I've had many times where, especially the older generation, they'll see themselves sitting inside and they'll point out, oh, that's where I'm sitting, or that's where so and so sits. They see the church as it is. They see
Mm-hmm.
it as a reflection of faith. They see it as something great. Uh, so this project is truly enjoyed by everybody, not just children, not just adults. I've had people comment numerous times on the things that they notice, such as the church being full. I think that's probably the biggest comment I get. You have to figure that the entire lower half is every pew is full.
Mm-hmm.
That's on purpose. That is a prayer. The upper half is slowly making its way up to that point. I probably bought another season or two. I probably have enough figures to finish it off.
Yeah, so how do you get your ideas for these churches? Or is it all just in your head, or are you following some sort of instructional book, or how does that work?
This is all 100% freehand.
Okay.
I will come up with a basic idea in my head of what I want to do, what I want to accomplish. And then sometimes that gets thrown out the window because the Lord wants me to go in a different direction.
Mhm.
I will say though that season 26 was right behind me, went together close to as I envisioned it, which is rare. The projects very rarely finish the way that I intend them. Either an idea that I have works good on paper but doesn't go well in practice, or the Lord may want me to shift focus to something else. So,
Mhm.
but this is all freehand. Uh, every year is a new design. Every year is a new chance to test the limits of Legos and myself.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you have to figure this thing is about 4 feet long and 2 feet wide, with a height to the tip of the bell tower about 2 feet as well, give or take. So this thing is fairly massive. And there's also, you got that full interior inside. You've got the tiling on the floor. You've got the tabernacle, the altar. You've got the elaborate organ in the balcony, along with their choir. You've got people in wheelchairs, power chairs. You've got service animals. And yes, there are a couple of droids hiding in there. I just don't remember where from. The kids find
Okay,
out
so
though
that
pretty quickly.
yeah, wow. So how long does it take you? You mentioned maybe like do you work on one creation a year or multiple churches
Well,
a year?
what it is a cycle. I
Mhm.
will build this over the course of 6 to 8 weeks, depending. This one took a little bit less than 6 weeks, but then again, I've had others that have taken a little bit longer. It kind
Mhm.
of depends on how complex the design is, how much time do I have available to actually work on this. Because when I'm working on this, I can take 8 to 10 hours a day just to work on a section alone. Once it is built, then the process of trying to find locations to display it, people that are
Mhm.
willing to bring me out to their parish or to event, uh, to be able to see what the Lord is doing in my life. I will sometimes give short presentations based on that.
Mhm.
Last year, when I was at Assumption, I was asked to give a short little talk highlighting the number of figures inside the church and how Mass should be very important to us. I don't mind doing stuff like that because it fits within my wheelhouse. I've also done other sessions with question and answer, both with kids and adults, so they can learn more in detail about what I'm doing. Once the final display happens, which is at my home parish, I will bring it home and then I'll take about 8 hours over the course of 2 or 3 days and tear it apart. And then I start the process all over again.
That was another question I had. I was like, do you like keep them all stored somewhere? Or do you
A 1 bedroom apartment here in the township. I don't have a lot of
okay.
space.
Yeah.
This thing
Wow.
takes up. I'm sitting in my living room right now, and this thing takes up most of
So is your creative process then it sounds like you have an idea and then do you write down kind of like draw out how you think it's gonna look then?
it. I actually don't draw anything down. I just basically go off the top of my head.
Okay.
And give you an example. When I had season 25 that the previous year built, I was looking over within the last couple of weeks of it being up. I was starting to look over to see what kind of changes I would like to bring in for season 26, and I did that.
Mhm.
I brought the general style has remained fairly consistent over the last 5 or 6 seasons, just because because of the way that I have it currently built, it allows me to do things I otherwise wouldn't, such as having Christmas tree lights on the lower half and the upper half. Because this thing has lights in it, which is a bit of a surprise when people see it for the first time. That way, people can
Yeah.
see all the detail. But no, I don't write
Mhm.
anything down. Now, in the past, I used to use some Lego computer programs to map things out, but I have found that it's just better for me just to experiment using
Mhm.
my hands, and it allows me the chance just to see where the Lord's going to take me on this.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, that leads into the first couple questions I always like to ask is as a Christian creative, how does co-creation with Christ, what does that look like for you or how does your faith inspire your approach to in your case, your Legos?
My work is prayer. As I am building, I am praying. I am taking
Mhm.
everything going on around me, all the
Yeah.
joys, the challenges, the struggles that I may have, and I am pouring them into the bricks. Every
Mhm.
piece that I place down is a silent prayer for something going on around me. whether it is the
Yeah.
life of the church, the life of our parishes. The number of figures I have in here is a prayer that more people would take the Mass seriously, make it a priority in their weekends. This
Mhm.
is something that's very important to me because as someone who does not drive, to be able to get to Mass is a blessing itself. To have
Yeah.
people willing to take me to Mass is a blessing. And in my case, I'm part of our parish choir, so our music director is able to give me the ride, so I can participate. Uh,
Mhm.
for Holy Days of Obligation, the same kind of thing. They're usually the ones giving me a ride. So it is very important for me to be able to highlight that in my work. And prayer is the foundation of our lives, and we should make it more of a priority for us. For me, it is daily prayer, morning prayer, just a quick 10 minutes, if that, just to get the day going, to lay at
Mhm.
the foot of the cross all that is troubling me for that day. And that's the same thing with this. Working on the project allows me to put as much effort as I can praying endlessly, praying without ceasing, as it's been said. And that's what I do with this work. So without Christ as the foundation, this wouldn't even exist. We wouldn't even be here right
Right. I love that idea of each brick is like a prayer. And it shows that because prayers are, usually something intangible, but look at what the prayer can become. And I think that's a really beautiful image. And I love that you have so much going on inside of the Lego churches too. I think that that would really incite interest in the people that are viewing the creations. And like you said, hopefully it will inspire them in their faith, especially to want to come to mass if they haven't been. Rekindle their interest and their desire to be present there. I also like to ask, do you see any connection between your Lego creations and God's natural creation? Like, you mentioned that you have your little like R2D2s, or you have different people in different places in the pews. Do you have any like other elements that are noteworthy that you like to put in your church designs?
now. Yeah, there's two main elements that I always include in the project. One you can easily see behind me. The other one I'll point out here in a second. The first major thing is this roof cross. If you look at my profile pictures on any of the platforms, there's a picture of me holding a version. That thing is about 2 pounds in its own right, and it can survive a fall off the table. And it is a reminder that when we're united with Christ, even if something bad happens, we're still in this together.
Mm-hmm.
I've been using that roof cross for some version of it since 2017. And every year I make modifications to it, adjustments as needed. The second major feature of the projects is this cross right here, what I originally referred to as the Grand Cross. It's actually uh, three crosses interlinked, and that has become like my feature, my signature. I've had that one. That's been probably the longest serving element that I've had. The first version of it was in season 5, long time ago, and there's other details in there as well. Little minor little things like the tile work, the patterns in the tile, the patterns, reoccurring patterns I use with crosses and stuff like that. So there's always these little nuances. And when you can look at this, if you see this in person, you can look at this 10 to 20 times and find something new each time. And then point out something that even I forgot that I put in there.
You mentioned seasons. So is it every year you come up with a new theme that you want to incorporate into your creations? Or how do you determine each season what that's going to look like?
Well, the season ends when I do the teardown, which is
Okay.
usually middle of January. I will take this apart brick by brick. Certain things will get saved for potentially being reused. Case in point, the organ from last year that I built brand new, the tabernacle, altar, and stuff like that. Well, if I don't reuse them outright, they'll get modified or, in some cases, completely rebuilt. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at the photos of season 25's tabernacle to season 26's, you'll see some subtle differences inside. The season will start when I start laying the bricks out for the build. Usually
Mhm.
last 2 weekends in January or early February when I start.
Okay. I love that this when you mentioned seasons, it makes me think of the liturgical year and how there's seasons as well. There's times where things are being like torn down, if you will, right? Like especially when you think of the passion and the crucifixion, and then things are being built back up again. And there's ordinary time, Advent, Lent. That's neat that you found that your work goes through seasons as well. Um, where do you get I'm curious, where do you get your Legos from? Do you just so you always just reuse the same ones, or are you ordering other different colors or styles to fit with what type of build you're going for?
The majority of stuff that I use is reused. However, though, I do have people that have donated actual bricks to me. I
Mhm.
also have people that will donate Lego sets through my Amazon wish list that have minifigures inside them, because those are the
Mm.
hardest parts to come by, believe it or not. Uh,
Mhm.
the rest of it, if I get monetary donations, I will usually will go on to an online marketplace called Bricklink, which is owned by Lego Group, and it's a third-party reseller. You can find thousands of vendors on there and look for the specific pieces. Case in point, these some of these translucent pieces here, they're a little bit difficult to come by. I can make several Bricklink vendors very happy on a order because when I'm in that project mode, I also
Mhm.
get a lot of specialty pieces as well that will allow me to add extra details and such. So I'm always
Mhm.
looking for new parts. I'm always looking to see what's coming out and see if there's some way I can incorporate it into the project. Creative use of pieces is what they call it.
And then each church that you build, what distinguishes them usually? Is it that you're using different colors, or the interior, like you have different layouts of like the inner church, or what's usually
Well,
different each
there's a
design?
lot of similarities between the last couple of seasons. That just can't
Mhm.
be. It has to. That's the way of nature of things. I kind of
Right.
compare it to the Final Fantasy video game series. Each game is a standalone story, but there's a lot of similarities in how things are laid out, the menus, and stuff like that. So when you pick up the game, you're familiar enough that you can jump right into it.
Mhm.
With the project, the exterior design will change in some format. Usually, this front section right here, where the tabernacle is built around it, and plus there's a lot of interior changes as well. The way the tiles are laid out, what's included inside, placement of the figures, stuff like that. There's always subtle changes. Some people may notice them from year to year, others they may not. But
Mhm.
it's always the same story, always frozen in time at the consecration of the Eucharist. So you got the people sitting down there as the priest is praying over everything, getting ready to move forward with the mass. So I picked that moment intentionally because I want people to see the importance of that as well.
Mhm. Great. I also like to ask, how do you see the definition of work related to what you're doing with your Legos? Is this your main work that you do, or do you have another job or other work, or how do you see this work as redemptive, I guess, if you will, or helping you grow in holiness?
Well, you have to figure number one, I'm on disability. I'm not able to physically hold a job down for various reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And going through that entire process is soul crushing itself.
Right.
To have someone who is an expert in their field say to you, you can't work, that can bring you down to ground level in a heartbeat. I don't necessarily see this as work.
Mm-hmm.
I firmly believe that this is the Lord's mission for me
Mm-hmm.
to utilize a very unique talent that that completely surprised me because I'm not an architect. I'm not trained in anything. This is the Lord working through me. I'm just a humble builder. But
Right.
here I am, able to share something that is very unique, very creative. And I can
Mhm.
use it to open doors to conversations. How does someone with a disability live their faith? How does someone who's got chronic challenges hold on to God in those moments? With
Right.
my cerebral palsy, I've got balance issues. I have fallen more times than I care to admit. I've got severe tinnitus, which can be distracting on a bad day. And yet here I am. The Lord is allowing me to do this. And
Yep.
I pray that I'm able to give someone who's facing their own challenges hope that God
Mhm.
can still use their talents, that they're
Yep.
not limited. It may just be a listening voice. It may be able to read. It may be able to sing. There's no limit to what God is willing to do for us if we're able to seek Him out. And that's kind of what I have done with this project. And it's something that's very important to me because I believe that I'm following what the Lord is asking. And even though I may not always know where I'm going, I know the Lord is with me either way.
Yep. I love how you described your work as like your mission. And I think that that's really powerful and speaks to the fact that, yeah, everybody has a mission. Right? Each of us has some sort of unique contribution or gift that we can bring to the world. Whether we see it as a big way or a little way or a medium way, like it doesn't matter. God's still going to use us and can we can impact in what we're doing, like you said, if we're attentive and we're paying attention and we're open to where God is wanting to use us. So love that. Well, this is a fun one. I like to ask too, is there a particular Bible verse, prayer, song, or person who inspires you as a creative?
The person that inspired me would be Father Slavics case. If you ever see me on social media, he's one of the ones I talk about all the time. He
Mm-hmm.
was a Capuchin monk who spent a lot of time as the doorman for the monastery down in Detroit, Michigan. He had what I would believe would be considered learning disabilities in our current time. He had struggles with trying to learn. And he was eventually ordained a priest, although I believe the term was simplex, meaning that there were things that he could do, things that he could not do. But he gave himself totally to the Lord and to the Lord's plan. He had a humility and a wisdom about him that was unique for his time. Anyone that entered the door of that monastery, he was there to pray for. He was there to offer counsel and wisdom. But the most important thing I take away about that is that he remained humble to the Lord no matter where the Lord sent him, even if he didn't necessarily see the direction that he was traveling in either. And I see a lot of similarities with his work, like with mine, totally trusting the Lord to guide me where I need to be, even if I don't always see the road in front of me.
That's great. The saints are so their stories are so fascinating, and to study their lives, like they're just as unique as each one of us. I love seeing how people use their particular place in life and how they were able to follow God and grow in holiness and become examples for us. So thanks for sharing that. Well, lastly, I like to ask, is there any particular advice you would give to anyone who is a creative of some sort? Maybe it's a fellow person who's building Legos or anyone that's, an artist or a writer or creative. What would be your advice to them?
You will always run into frustration. You will always run into moments which challenge what you're doing. Those are momentary storms in this life. God will provide for you in ways that you may not always see. And if something is being blocked, there it may be because something better is coming along, a better fit for what you are doing. As an example for me on this, there have been a couple parishes that I would really love to visit, but the location may not be suitable, either because the physical place is not able to host me, or the attitude of the parish may not be quite a good fit for me overall. Those are the times where we must truly put our faith forward and trust that God has got something in store for us. We just have to be a little bit patient. even when that is not our strong suit.
Great advice. It makes me think of a quote. If God closes a door, he'll open a window. Like even if you seem like you've hit a dead end, you can be if you're open and you're looking, you'll see what God has next. It might not be the direction you thought, but he's still going to show you some sort of path that you should go down next. Well, those of you who are listening, if you'd like to stay connected with John and his work and his Lego churches, check the show notes for links to his email and his Substack. Thanks again, John, for joining me on the Work of Thy Hands podcast. It was great to have you on and hear about your projects. And I always like to close with a closing prayer. That's a great prayer for anyone who is a Christian creative. So let's pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Creator of the universe, how infinite and astonishing are your worlds. O divine imagination, you created a creator when you imagined me into existence. Breathe breath into so much dust. Let me lament for forgetting daily to rise up out of the clay. Free me from the deceit of the mundane and from the lure of comfort, which dulls all my given edges. Most of all, light of my life, forgive my blindness, open all my eyes, salt me with newness and dreams, fire my soul with your inventive flame. Let me be committed to the world by it and find in it the deepest joy. Universal creativity, flow through me, faith to see things not yet seen, hope to overflow broken cisterns, and love to free me forever. Flow, O river, from the holy temple, through my mind to my hand, infuse my work with spirit to feed hungry souls. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
You know?